Dunsmore Jazz Room, or under the stars at the Belvedere. Plus, Maggie's Piano Lounge is always open with no cover charge. Find more details at croonersmn.com. Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. In the evenings on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. And, of course, in Seattle, where they just got a great new progressive mayor. I had the listeners out in Seattle send me all this great information about the brand new mayor in Seattle. Outstanding. 1150 AM KKNW. It is the Matt McNeil Show for your Thursday. It is good to be here today. Matt and Brett here today. Hello, Brett.
Hi there.
How are you today?
I'm doing all right.
I have my usual Thursday gauge. You know why I laugh when they say inflation's only at 3%? You know why I laugh at that? I grocery shop on Thursday morning. Now, side note, it is an amazing time to go grocery shopping. Is Thursday or Tuesdays usually, depending on the grocery store, they might have senior day and the place is packed. But Thursdays are generally a pretty good time. And if you go in on a Thursday morning, gold. Friday mornings are tough because you get all the donut people. So you got 500 people waiting in line to get 3 donuts. So don't do that. Monday, your selection is generally a little rougher. Thursday's your golden window. Go in the morning grocery shopping on a Thursday morning. I have gone and grocery shopped on Thursday morning. And today I only bought one main course, some pork chops. I did not buy any of that sneaky pricey stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Like vanilla is god-awful expensive. Saffron, you might as well get a mortgage on your house. I didn't buy any of that stuff this time around. Pretty much fruits, vegetables, one main course, a few donuts. Hey, not going to lie. Some dairy, some, 1 or 2 sauces for making up a stir fry tonight. Nothing major. 4 bags of groceries. Brett, guess the price of 4 bags of groceries today.
Oh, let's see.
Nothing major. Like I said, nothing, not like 5 steaks or anything like that. No ground beef. Just the pork chops were the main thing. Lots of vegetables, fruits and vegetables. I eat those, enjoy those. Take a guess.
Guessing 200 maybe?
202.
Wow.
202, man.
That
4
is...
bags, 4 bags of groceries. 4 bags of groceries, $202, man. I remember when the kids were little and I'd buy like 7 bags of groceries and it was like $200 back then. It is astronomical how much the grocery prices have raised in just the last 6, 7, 8 months. I mean, it is absolutely astronomical. And so when they look at me and they say, inflation is only up 3%, well, then you need to come show me what I'm freaking missing at the grocery store because it is through the freaking roof. I mean, I'm going to guess at least in the 7 to 10% range increase in prices, at least in the 7 to 10% range.
Oh, I'm definitely agreeing with you there. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, now I think about it that way, how expensive a bag of groceries now is.
It's nuts.
I've done 2 bags, and I'm over $100.
I was talking to my friend Jim, who works over at the grocery store. Nice guy, really nice guy. I've known him for years. Jim and I were talking. He said it's also a compound for the people that do like he does and my son does, where they'll get off the bus or the train and I'll just go over to the grocery store, pick up some stuff and go upstairs. You don't realize it. You start adding that up and you're like $300, $400 in a week. And you don't really it's like, how is that even possible? It really is crazy. It is crazy how expensive things are.
And I remember you brought up that the largest category of growth on GoFundMe was what? Grocery bills.
Grocery bills. I got some more disturbing stuff about that stuff coming up a little bit later on. Okay. I'll get to that here a little bit. But I wanted to start off with, I got some grief from conservatives who are, how dare you? How dare you, Matt McNeil? Yeah, I dare. This is the line I said yesterday. How many Republican politicians, if they were to walk in on Trump sexually assaulting their 13-year-old daughter or 13-year-old granddaughter, and then had Trump tell them, get out and close the door behind you, how many Republicans would immediately apologize and would leave the room closing the door? I guarantee that number ain't 0. I guarantee that number is not 0. I don't think most would, but I'm going to get a scary amount of Republicans would be like, oh, I'm so sorry, sir. Have a good time. And close the door. And don't you dare look at me and say, how do you look at what you are defending now? If any other human being had 1/10 of the evidence, I would make an argument. We have more evidence against Trump with Epstein than they had for Prince Andrew, former Prince Andrew, with Epstein. I would make an argument you have more evidence of Trump with Epstein than Prince Andrew. And Prince Andrew, they just stripped him of his title because he's so disgraced. If the normal person had 1/10 of the evidence against him, they would never see the light of day again. They would be locked up, and that would be it. And yet you guys, you'll hear them say, witch hunt, hoax. And immediately you say, yeah, it's a witch hunt, it's a hoax. Because you're brainwashed into believing that this is some sort of God. And that's on you. It's not on me. That's on you. So don't get mad at me when I call out your obvious failures to your face, because that's my job, technically. The public disclosure of more than 20,000 pages of newly released documents related to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein has reignited long-running scandals. So they released, the House Republicans released the other 20,000 documents, and nothing that got released yesterday kind of exonerated Trump in any capacity. As a matter of fact, in some cases, it made it worse. Like that one email email that he had where he was talking to the former Justice Department person and basically saying, yeah, he's a horrible guy. I mean, nothing really exonerated Trump yesterday, especially after those initial emails, which clearly show a connection between Trump and Epstein. Democratic members of the House Oversight Committee said the emails they released raised serious questions about Donald Trump and his knowledge of Epstein's horrific crimes. Epstein said Trump knew about the girls. One of the emails dated January 2019 and sent to columnist Michael Wolff. Epstein said Trump, of course, he knew about the girls, as he asked Ghislaine to stop. Trump had previously suggested that Epstein stole young female staffers whom he'd hired away from the president's Mar-a-Lago country club. Which makes you kind of wonder, what was his plan with those workers there? He was upset because Epstein took them away from him. What was your initial plan with those staffers there, Donnie? Epstein's former friend and aide, Ghislaine Maxwell, is now serving 20-year prison sentence in apparently a spa environment in Texas for crimes including sex trafficking and procuring girls to be sexually abused. The second big thing was Trump saw Trump as a dog that hasn't barked. In another 2011 email, Epstein alleged that to Maxwell that Trump had spent hours with one of his victims, but had not spoken about it. Trump spent hours with a child who was being sexually abused. Hours in Epstein's house. I want you to realize that dog hasn't barked as Trump, said Epstein. In a reply, Maxwell says, I have been thinking about that. The White House later acknowledged the victim they basically outed the victim here. The email did not suggest why Trump would have spent time with the victim. The dog that hasn't barked is a phrase sometimes used to suggest the absence of something is more significant than its presence, although its meaning is not entirely clear in this case. Well, it's pretty clear to me. Donald Trump, it's clear to anyone that has a freaking brain that Trump was having sex with an underage girl. Trump responded to the files on Truth Social, accusing Dems of trying to bring up Jeffrey Epstein hoax again, to deflect from the government shutdown, which was over. So why would they be deflecting? Epstein did despise Trump. Epstein, who jailed in 2019, age 66, had a sour opinion of Trump in the years before his death. I've met some very bad people, Epstein wrote in a 2017 email, not as bad as Trump. Not one decent cell in his body. In other messages, Epstein described Trump as a maniac showing signs of early dementia. Okay, once again, quick side note. Anytime the national news media wants to cover Donald Trump with 1/100th of the intensity that you went after Joe Biden for his age, knock yourself out. Anytime you guys want to do that. Oh, you're too busy now? I mean, Trump today, I mean, did he talk to an urn or something like that? I mean, what did he do today? Did he have a long conversation with a chair? Oh, he's so leadership. Yeah, that's what it is. One other thing here, we mentioned Andrew. The emails cast out on Prince Andrew's account that he cut ties with a child sex abuser, as well as his denials about meeting the accuser. In March 2011, 4 months after he claimed he ended his relationship with Epstein, the former prince wrote him and Maxwell saying, "I can't take any more of this," in response to allegations put up by the Mail, the Sunday Mail in London. Another email from Epstein in 2011 appears to corroborate the veracity of the photograph of then Prince Andrew holding a victim by the waist in 2001 when she was 17. And Michael Wolff, of course, jumps in the spotlight. New York author Michael Wolff has been written 4 books chronicling Trump's political career, including his 2018 bestseller, Fire and Fury. Wolff has known Epstein for years, and the Financier saw it was a source for his book on Trump. Of the 3 emails released to the Democrats by the Democrats on Wednesday, 2 included exchanges with Wolff, including one where Epstein said Trump knew about the girls, putting the high-profile writer in the spotlight. One email sent to Wolff and Epstein in December 2015 said that Trump might hang himself in an upcoming CNN interview on the relationship and that the presidential candidate had previously maintained with Epstein. I think you should let him hang himself, Wolff says. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or into the house, then I think that gives you valuable PR and political currency. I mean, they're acknowledging that they are trying to help Trump. So there's clearly that relationship. They're also acknowledging that both of them, Wolff and Epstein, are acknowledging the house and plane are where bad things go on. And yeah. He added, of course, it's possible that when he asked, he says Jeffrey was a great guy and he's gotten a raw deal and victim of political correctness, which would be outlawed in the Trump regime. So they're already kind of talking a little bit about that. I think one other thing just really quick to mention was apparently Epstein was at the White House for Thanksgiving. I think that first year Trump was in the White House, which contradicts Trump's comments that he had broken ties with Epstein a long time before. There is now evidence that Epstein was actually good buddies with him all the way, at least through the first year of Trump's first term. I also want to make sure I point out another crazy thing here is that back in 2016, when then potential first husband, Bill Clinton, former president of the United States, met with the attorney general on the tarmac at Sky Harbor Airport in Arizona, that Republicans went crazy because what were they talking about? It just happened. Their flights crossed paths and he said hello, but they acted as if the Illuminati had just met and decided who lives and who dies on the planet and had multiple investigations. Those same Republicans are watching as Pam Bondi, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, and Kash Patel all met with Lauren Boebert to try to get her name off that petition. Like I said, the double standard in outrage from Republicans is so obscene. So obscene. I'll take a break, come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Across this country, LGBTQ rights are under threat. This is a struggle that the LGBTQ community knows all too well. Since 1987, Outfront Minnesota has been fighting for LGBTQ rights and protections here at home, and this work is needed now more than ever. Hard-fought wins here in the state of Minnesota are at risk, from the ban on the harmful practice of conversion therapy that passed in 2023 to transgender protection secured in our State Human Rights Act in 1993, and even national recognition of our same-sex marriage protections that we secured in 2013 are at risk. Outfront Minnesota has helped Minnesota become a national leader in LGBTQ rights, and they will hold the line to make sure we don't lose what we've gained. But they need you. Now is the time to step up and support Outfront Minnesota and LGBTQ rights here in our state. Outfront Minnesota needs your financial support today to strengthen LGBTQ protections at home, at school, and at the state capitol. Learn more and make your gift at outfront.org/give. That's outfront.org/give.
The Thanksgiving Buffet is back at the Park Tavern. Thanksgiving Thursday, November 27th from 11 to 3, the Park Tavern has its Thanksgiving Day Buffet. Enjoy the all-you-can-eat buffet with all your Thanksgiving favorites for $25.95 per person, $18.95 for 65 and over, and kids 6 to 12, and kids 5 and under are free, and that includes an hour of free bowling. Seatings begin at 11 a.m., and the last seatings are at 2 p.m., and you need reservations. Call 952-929-6810. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park. Giving thanks this Thanksgiving is simple with help from the Park Tavern.
In these chaotic times, we need a new word for the fourth quarter. Times are just too dark for a Black Friday. As the uber rich tear down the foundations of American democracy and the forces of big government, big business, big tech, big military industrial complex, and AI all unite to dominate even more, it's time for us to declare a soliday. Solidarity and holiday. Let's experience Soliday. When you buy Nicolette's Macaroons, Ferndale Turkey, tickets from an AM 950 theater or restaurant partner, take a ride on the Minneapolis Trolley, visit Hypercharge clinics, buy from Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, shop at Shanghai Market, or patronize any of our great advertisers, you're doing more than being a consumer. You're part of the Soliday movement. Liz Soliday, if you have thoughts on potential partners or your business organization would like to connect, reach out to me, Laura at am950radio.com. That's Laura at am950radio.com. Happy Soliday. United we stand. Solidarity forever.
Hey, it's Alex with Buzzcut Mowing. Why spend your precious time out in the cold this fall raking, bagging, and stressing over leaves when I can handle it all for you? I provide fast, thorough, and reliable fall leaf cleanups across the West Metro. Let me do the hard work so you can stay cozy, sip your coffee, and actually enjoy the season. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com today, and let's make your yard the envy of the neighborhood before the winter hits. Buzzcut Mowing.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. I should mention, and we had our producer Adam yesterday tell us, that they're probably going to close the House of Representatives. They didn't close it up until that special election in Tennessee, which is what right now it seems like that's Speaker Johnson's next goal. So he swears in the new House rep from Arizona. She immediately signs the petition. Now they have enough votes to force it to a floor vote, enough signatures to force a floor vote on whether they can subpoena the Epstein documents. Well, there's a special election coming up in Tennessee, which is supposed to go red. And that race will not be called, I think, till early December. So Johnson's in a bit of a pickle here. He does not want the House to vote on this, but he can't really just shut it down until then, because then it becomes clear that all he's doing is running interference for Trump, especially since, and as I mentioned earlier, I think on Monday that when they came back, they basically have a litany of just day-to-day obligations they are way behind on that they have to catch up on. But that didn't stop him. Federal government is open. The House of Representatives is now closed again. A record-shattering 43-day-long shutdown coincided with a 53-day vacation for the House Republicans. The end of the shutdown, Johnson had to call the House back into session. He did for roughly 8 hours Wednesday, but then he gave all the House members the rest of the week off. Now, they have to come back next week, but they're going to take a full week with Thanksgiving, and then you've got that. That is, it does seem like Johnson's trying to figure out, and it should not be, don't downplay Scalise's role and Tom Emmer's role. They're all basically plotting to basically prevent that vote for the Epstein documents to come down, because once again, we don't even know the worst stuff. That is basically being held by the DOJ, and it should be noted, multiple Trump guys who are blindly loyal to Trump seem to be fairly disturbed by what they saw in those Trump files. And those Epstein Trump files, we'll just call it like that. I will say there are a lot of people that when this does come to light, and eventually it will, who will all of a sudden say, oh, I have no idea. And that's going to be annoying. That's like, well, if I would have ever known. And I mean, we've had 8 years of us talking about Epstein, and they have all acting like, well, there was no truth to it. And when the truth finally does come out, it's like, gee, he lied to us. Well, we had all this evidence, but he said hoax. So that was an equal counterbalance. Yeah. It is just, it's hard to watch how blindly loyal some people are to this guy. And although some people are starting to wake up, it is still makes it very hard. Now, I want to remind people here, I just this is a little bit of a personal note. If you remember, and just religious content, you do or don't do whatever it is you do or don't want to do. I'm a Christian. I was a Catholic for a long time, but I left the Catholic Church. And I left the Catholic Church mainly because of the Conference of Catholic Bishops, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. Now, it wasn't that there wasn't other things that happened in the Catholic Church that really were upsetting. It's just that for many years, my parish, my priests that we were going to, it was clear that they were just as upset and bothered by this, and none of that stuff had actually come to our church. And so that was, as hard, we did stay up until the point. And then when the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops decided to go after Joe Biden, only the second Catholic president we've ever had, and a very good man. But when they basically, and they gave up the ghost, they said, we're going to deny him communion. And immediately everyone's like, what? You're going to deny a person communion on their political vows? And then basically they said, well, no, this is not about politics or anything like this. This is just about, establishing a standard of who can and who cannot get, communion. And that's what it is. And, but it was clear. I mean, if you're letting the chief sinner supreme, Donald Trump, get, if most of your churches allow him to get communion within your church, a guy who's not even Catholic, but you're turning down Joe Biden because you don't like his politics, it was clear where this was coming from. And they tried to portray this was just a policy standard, but their own bishops, especially from these red states, would run down to the cameras and, my parishioners want that Joe Biden reined in. Yeah. So they gave up the ghost. And that was the end for us. And by the way, and I remember Father Byron, who's passed away since we had this conversation, but we had a conversation in 2001. He's like, I need to understand why people are leaving the Catholic Church. And we explained it. He said, do you think, and I said, are you seeing a lot of people leaving? He goes, yeah, a lot of people are leaving. So, you kind of make it a political litmus test. Well, it's fine. I'm of the mindset of this is that it's hard for you to watch it was hard for watching the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops snuggle on up to Donald Trump, sinner supreme, while yet going after other people because of politics. I just want you guys, I mean, have you guys read the Bible? I mean, that's kind of, if you're looking for outrages, can I tell you, just look at most Republican policies. But I get it. The Republicans gave you guys a seat at the table. And so you don't want to turn on your power generator. I guess that. I can see that. But it was hard to watch as all this stuff has gone on, the starving of the American people, the rounding up of immigrants, the mistreatment, the stealing from the poor to give to the rich. And yet there are not many Christian leaders in this country who are like, whoa. Okay, maybe I like the conservative politics a little bit, but my goodness, this is very anti-Jesus and very anti-Bible. But the vast majority of conservative Christians have basically said, nope, this is tolerable. It's tolerable. Well, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops finally decided to kind of say, wait a second here. They delivered a special pastoral message on immigration on Wednesday, raising a concern about immigration here. Although it doesn't mention Trump by name, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops message marks a rare public reproach of his immigration policies. Trump's hardline approach to immigration during his second term is seen as illegal crossings at the U.S. border plummet to their lowest point in decades, but his administration's aggressive arrest and deportation goals have been criticized by Christian leaders, Democrats, and others. They note in a statement accompanying the message that the first time in 12 years that his particularly urgent way of speaking as a body of bishops, there are, it's the Gospel of Matthew. And by the way, once again, there is an absolute war within the conservative Christian movement to throw out particularly the Gospel of Matthew and the rest of the Gospels, because frankly, those are the ones where they say, Jesus orders people. This is Jesus himself. The first 6 letters of Christianity, fun story, last name of Jesus. But this is where he tells people directly, feed the hungry, take care of the sick, clothe the naked, shelter the homeless, welcome in the stranger, visit the prisoner. He tells you to very specifically do these things. And it's that welcome in the stranger thing. I know that's in there. I'm glad to see some people starting to wake up, but it's going to be bizarre when this is all over and they're going to be like, well, I was never for that. You kind of were. It's the Matt McNeil Show. Hi, it's Matt McNeil. Listen to the Matt McNeil Show from 3 until 5 weekday afternoons right here on the progressive voice of Minnesota, AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
This season, bring the whole family to see Irving Berlin's White Christmas. This smash hit musical based on the classic film returns by popular demand to delight you at Chanhassen dinner theaters. With loads of laughter and a stunning showcase of Irving Berlin songs, White Christmas is a celebration of the romance, friendship, and magic of the holidays. Make your plans today to see White Christmas. Visit chanhassendt.com.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. To avoid gimmicks, call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
AM 950 KTN up St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. And we'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
Shambot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblotfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Hi, this is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. It's been great working with so many of the passionate AM 950 listeners over the years. We have realized how important AM 950 is to the community. I want to see AM 950 continue to grow and continue to thrive into the future. To help continue to grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to do your part by liking and sharing the content on AM 950 social media platforms.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. Ryan has always told me the best time to get work done is during the colder months of the year because demand is much lower. He is backing that up again by offering 30% off labor on windows and siding from now until the end of December. Call Snap Construction now to get 30% off labor on windows and siding. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Trust the company AM 950 trusts Snap Construction, arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, and window contractor in the metro area. Get a free estimate by calling 612-333-SNAP or find them online at snapconstruction.com. Financing options available.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies today with a high near 56, tonight clear with a low around 37, and Friday sunny with a high near 65. Time is running out. Only 2 weeks remain to see the enormous Crocodile at Children's Theater Company. From the jungle to outer space, this Roald Dahl-inspired musical is packed with laughter, clever tricks, and dazzling puppetry. Catch it all before it's gone through November 23rd. Tickets at childrenstheater.org. That's childrenstheater.org.
It is the Matt McNeil Show, broadcasting in the evenings on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. 11:50 a.m. KKNW in Seattle. And I think we're in the afternoon today in this Seattle. Nice. Hello there, afternoon drive. Great, man. And then in Minneapolis, St. Paul, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. This is Cesar, Congressman Greg Cesar. I believe he's Texas, is he? Let me see here. Heart of Texas, East Austin, West San Antonio. Jessalyn, yeah, Texas. Okay, the name Jessalyn kind of gives it away. Jessalyn from San Antonio said her family will have to lose their current health care plan because they cannot afford another $300 a month in premiums. This is what the Republicans have done. This is what the Republicans have done. 300. This is direct line straight from Republicans to their pocketbook. That is them. He posted the differences between, this congressman posted the differences between their current plan and the plan for 2026. The 2025 plan, the monthly premium is $199.16. The brand new, courtesy of the Republican Party of the United States of America, costs $514.14 per month. Per month. Yeah, that's well over $6,000 for the year. The deductible stays the same for the individual as well as for the family. Primary care visit was $0 for a primary care visit, but now it's a $20 copay. Nickel and diming you. Specialist visit was a $15 copay. Now it's a $50 copay. Nickel and diming you. Urgent care was a $10 copay. Now it's a $15 copay. Nickel and diming you. Emergency room visits was 30% plus coinsurance. Now it's 50% coinsurance, so nickel and diming you. And your preferred prescriptions used to be $0, but now it's a $10 copay. Nickel and diming you. That is because of the Republican Party. That is what the Democrats who had a spine were trying to stop. And now the Republicans are going to do this, and things are going to be okay. You remember I was earlier today. I mean, I don't know. I was a plucky young lad about 30 minutes ago, where I was talking about the cost of groceries. oh, how times have aged me. But this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. The impact to the daily budget that we're all seeing. I mean, this is nuts. And I don't quite know how in the world we're going to fix this until 2018 or 2028, rather, 2028, and with the presidency. But hopefully next year we'll at least have an election, and we can throw many of these guys out. But once again, it's going to take us having a veto-proof majority, because these guys can't even look at all the evidence against Donald Trump as a child sex pervert and say, yeah, that's wrong. You think that they're going to undo any of this stuff, even if they get destroyed? If the Republicans have any chance to stop it, they will. And frankly, half the Democrats, not half, but a third of the Democrats will even though we have this massive majority and people sure want us in charge, I think the first thing we should do is listen to what the Republicans want us to do. It is that way. The economy is sputtering. As a matter of fact, it was down. The Dow was down dramatically today. What was, let me see if I can find it here. The latest I saw, it was down 700. I don't know if it's still down that bad, but it wasn't doing well today. Notch worst day. Yeah, it's down 797 today. And the NASDAQ down 536. That AI bubble, when it pops, man, things are going to get ugly real fast. And you see, we're all suffering today. I mean, you and I mean, the middle and lower class, we're all getting screwed right now. It's when all of a sudden, when this goes sideways, and it will, and the AI bubble pops, and crypto is basically, once again, the handful of Ponzi scheme runners that are operating crypto jam all their money in their pocket and run away, and everyone else is screwed there. There's not going to be any, there is no comfort zone. Everything is about to hurt. It is going to be very similar to the Great Depression, but my anticipation is it's going to be worse, because back then you at least didn't have a party saying, well, the last thing we can do is tax the billionaires. Who's going to eat all the sushi now? That sort of thing. People forget how revolutionary FDR was when they brought him in 1932. How that the idea of he was a democratic socialist president. I mean, he really was. And not only was he a democratic socialist president, he had an overwhelming majority in the House and the Senate to do his bidding. And yeah, that's kind of what we're headed for now. So I hope, unfortunately, a lot of people had to get hurt for us to realize we needed to fix things. The Trump White House is already realizing the numbers aren't looking good. Their key economic reports for October may never be released at all because the government shutdown, said a senior White House official on Wednesday. With the spending impasse appearing to be at the end, the White House press secretary Carolyn Leavitt told reporters, the Taco Bell herself, that part of the fallout could be lasting damage to the government's data collection ability. God, what just a pathetically bad lie. The Democrats may have permanently damaged the federal statistics system with October CPI and jobs reports likely never being released. All that economic data released will be permanently impaired, leaving our policymakers at the Fed flying blind at a critical period. No, they could release that information tomorrow. I mean, it takes someone who is so stupid that she's lying. I mean, this is not ignorance. This is intentional deception. But she's banking on people being stupid to understand they broke the numbers. Numbers no longer work. Chaos, cats and dogs, frogs in the sky. No, they could release the numbers tomorrow. They just don't want to. And I can tell you that's really what's going on here. They know what those numbers say. They don't ever want to release them. That's why they're already saying, we'll probably never have to release them. Most Wall Street economists are expecting all the data to be released, but albeit delayed. However, Leavitt's comments cast out whether that will happen. The Democratic shutdown made it extraordinarily difficult for economists, investors, and policymakers. The Federal Reserve, Leavitt said, wearing a 400-pound cross. Leavitt added that, why am I doing that? It's not coming. I guess you're trying to hide behind the cross of all your sins, Carolyn, but, it's not working, sinner. Anywho, early in the afternoon, Kevin Hassert, director of the National Economic Council, said the impasse will shave 1.5 percentage points up from the current quarter GDP. They're basically, what they're doing is saying we're not going to release the numbers that we can't adjust because they were pretty much in the books already in October. We're not going to release those numbers. But the future numbers, when they're really bad, because that's the way this economy has been going, we'll just blame it on the shutdown. For sure, it's going to have an impact on this quarter, Hassett said during an appearance of the Economic Club of Washington. However, most economists expect the impact to be minimal. Goldman Sachs, in fact, raised its estimates for the GDP heading into the end of the year. The firm boosted a Q3 outlook slightly to 3.7, raised its full-year forecast to 1.3, a change of 0.3 percentage points in the positive. On the issue of data collection, Goldman economists say they expect the shutdown to have a limited impact on the quality of jobs data. But once again, Carolyn Leavitt and her massive cross are not trying to talk to economists or Wall Street. They're just trying to talk to, we can't release numbers broke numbers. Numbers 6 means 6, 7. Hey, children, you're welcome. You are welcome. Breaking down Trump's latest spin on the faltering economy, University of Michigan economics professor Justin Wolfers said his lies are so shocking. When you see professors at universities literally doing spit takes. What? His lies are so shocking, he wonders if the president is suffering a mental breakdown. Yes, guilty as charged. Yes, I'll go with that. In his latest interview with Fox News host Laura Ingraham, Trump said he's spearheading the greatest economy we've ever had. Once again, 4 bags of groceries, $200. And insisted the United States is doing phenomenally well. No. Appearing on CNN's Caitlin Collins' show, The Source, Wolfer says, look, every word the president said is a lie. This is a professor from a university. Worse than that, it's such a lie. It's such a lie that I worry that there's literally a break with reality inside the man's mind. Yes, guilty as charged. Have you seen how he decorates? Okay. I think he thinks he's in Narnia. I'm going back into the wardrobe again. Okay, there, sir. Your cankles will keep you warm. Wolfer says that Trump's comments aren't just spin, but they are flatly contradicted by government data. I can tell you that because I'm a statistics nerd, Wolfer said. You can go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They've got people in supermarkets all over the country, and almost every category of goods and services are rising prices. Exactly. Like I said, I mean, I understand that beef is through the roof and stuff like that, but if beef is up like 12% and coffee is at like 7% and all these things are up high, what's lowering dramatically to offset the inflation numbers down to 3%? Exactly. It doesn't make any sense. So the economy prices are through the roof. They're basically trying to hide the data numbers now because the reality is their whole system has not worked. And by the way, this is not the first time. I mean, tariffs are a horrible policy plan. Only an absolute moron, Navarro, only an absolute moron would think tariffs would work if all you have to do is look through history and see that they have never worked. And every time they try to nuance it here and there, and it ends up failing. And that's where we're at right now. They all act like whenever they get one of these, we're making a trade deal with India. Yeah, but the one of the things that you guys want to ignore is the fact that your trade deal with India still means that products are 20 to 25% higher than they were before. Because you added tariffs to everything. And so your idea of a deal is us getting screwed with more higher prices. That is your best deal. That's why things are bad. But it's not just the economy. It's not just consumer spending. It's not just the inflation. It's everything. It is everything right now. Foreclosure filings climbed again in October after sitting at historic lows in recent years, according to new data released on Thursday. Recent years. Who was in office? Oh, that's right, Joe Biden. Never mind. Well, the numbers are still small. The persistent rise of foreclosures may be a sign of cracks in the housing market. No, trust me, there are massive cracks in the housing market. This is a CNBC story. And once again, CNBC and all the financial guys, they always write these things because they don't want to make people too upset. If you actually look at the numbers and you actually have people who are not betrothed to a political party and they're just doing the reporting on the housing market, there are multiple markets where there are some serious, serious problems. There were 36,766 U.S. properties with some site of foreclosure in October. That's a pretty big jump. The Florida, South Carolina, Illinois led the nation in state foreclosure filings. On a metropolitan area level, Florida's Tampa, Jacksonville, and Orlando are the most filings. Riverside, California, and Cleveland are the top 5. But it's these little things which will really, I think, kind of put things in perspective. I just saw this, and there's one stat here that it puts out, and this is a fluff piece to try to push people towards certain products. But if you're planning on using buy now, pay later to cover your holiday shopping this year, and half of shoppers are per PayPal. Wait a second here. Half of the shoppers in the United States are going to use buy now, pay later. Half are going to use that. They'll go on to say there's alternative financing options like 0% APR cards, credit card, pay over time features, and savings accounts. Half. There's a canary in the coal mine. It's the Matt McNeil Show. The best deal for Black Friday is back at the Park Tavern. On Friday, November 28th only, stop into the Park Tavern, buy a $100 gift card. You'll receive $50 in Park Tavern gift cards for free. You heard that right. Buy $100 in Park Tavern gift cards, and you will receive $50 in gift cards for free. The best part is you get to decide which gift cards you keep and which gift cards you gift. And the Park Tavern is open regular hours on Black Friday, offering up their full menu. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, get the best deal this year at the Park Tavern.
At Schroman Law, we provide more than just legal documents. We walk alongside our clients to ensure their wishes and legacies are being honored with every choice. And we do this while recognizing that this process can be emotional and weighty. Our team includes attorneys, as well as a grief coach and a published writer ready to assist with legacy letters and extra wishes to go alongside your healthcare directive. Contact us today to learn more at schromenlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Oh, you know what that music means. It means I'm back, baby! The Grinch. Don't miss seeing me at Children's Theatre Company this holiday season. Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas is great for anyone who likes classic Grinchy tunes, and me, the mean one in the flesh, or in the green fur. Make your plans to spend the holiday season with me. You'll remember it forever. Tickets and showtimes at childrenstheater.org.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. November is here, so you're probably thinking two things right now. First is, man, where did this year go? And second is, oh no, I'm hosting Thanksgiving and my house is not ready at all. So you need to call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res to get things in order before your friends and family come over to celebrate. Every surface in your home can be Zero Resified, from hardwood, carpet, tile, rugs, upholstery, and more, so you don't have to worry about your friends and family plopping down on a nasty couch. Zero Res has a 4.9 rating on Google with over 21,000 reviews, so go ahead and get clean. And don't miss this month's deal. Get 3 rooms of carpet starting at just $139 and $50 off an air duct cleaning. You just need to call 952-ZERO-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
It is the Matt McNeil Show.
Are you ready, boy?
Half of people are going to do buy now, pay later for the holidays. Wow. I remember, and I think two quick things about the holidays here before I wrap up with some other stories. But one of the things which I think particularly white culture needs to come to grips with, white suburban culture, is this idea of mountains and mountains of ornaments and trees and wreaths and food and packages and all these things, decorations throughout the house. I mean, the average family's Christmas, and this is everything: tree, decorations, food, gifts, is somewhere in the area around $65 to $70. That's it. And there's a lot of people out there where that would they wouldn't buy a Christmas tree that was $70. That will violate my beautiful living room. Exactly. So just keep that in mind, is that most people are in fairly precarious financial situations as it is. I mean, 64% of people have no money outside of their regular paycheck to paycheck. They don't have any savings. They don't have any retirement accounts. And you got now half of the people are going to do buy now, pay later, and everything's going to cost you a lot more. So I'm going to give you 2 holiday ideas for you that are relatively inexpensive. First of all, find an antique store. Because sure, if you go into an antique store, they're going to have some things that are pretty pricey, but a good antique store has a lot of weird, quirky stuff in it, and a lot of it is cheap. And you can sometimes find some jewels in there. Even if you find just some relatively inexpensive earrings, I bet you they're going to look really unique compared to what you're going to find anywhere else. So stuff like that. Go. You might want to try shopping at an antique store because you can find some stuff there. And the one thing that I think is, especially considering most people today don't actually print out photos, get a photo. I mean, the guy that takes a ton of photos here, go get a photo and get it printed out and give that as a gift. You don't necessarily even have to get them a frame. Just, here it is. Here's a nice picture, and let them go get a frame for themselves. That's not a very expensive holiday gift. So there's some options for you. We're in this together, people. We got to get through this. And when you have Republicans giddily jacking up your healthcare costs by 4, 5, 6 times as much as it was before, while that are pulling SNAP benefits out of hungry people's mouths, that are gleefully applauding the skyrocketing cost of things in this country. If we don't stick together, then we are screwed. Some things that were in the extension bill, and once again, I want to say the to the fine folks, those fine 7 idiots, who and Angus King, who basically went along with the Republicans. You're stupid. Oh God, are you dumb? Dumb. We know that the Republicans sneaked a thing in there for anyone whose phones were basically inspected because they were working with Donald Trump to help overthrow the government of the United States, that they all get like a $500,000 payout for pain and suffering. They put that in there, which is an absolute joke. On top of that, we talked about the THC stuff, which once again, and that is just the hemp industry is bracing for layoffs, production reductions, and billions in lost revenue. And I said this yesterday when this came to light, that the Republicans in the Senate torpedoed THC-based products, the hemp industry, and so drinks and stuff like this. And they did it for one very simple reason. Generation Z does not drink beer. They just do not drink beer. They do not. And it is pretty stark to see them wipe out something in the area of $30 billion hemp industry just to make sure the liquor industry, the beer industry is happy. Now, the hemp industry is planning on suing them because, they've been selling the product now for years and they've got some loyal fan bases, but we'll have to see how that goes. But once again, that is clearly just a handout to the beer companies. But here's the one that you probably didn't catch, and they kept this hidden as long as they could. Amid a lobbying blitz of food campaign cash, senators inserted language into the week's emergency spending bill that eliminates rules designated to prevent food contamination and foodborne illnesses at farms and restaurants, according to legislative text. The bill would also limit the development of rules to regulate ultra-processed foods, despite such foods being derided as the Make America Healthy Again movement, championed by RFK Jr., a.k.a. Brainworm McGee. The Senate's gutting of these rules coincides with a huge increase in hospitalizations and deaths from foodborne illnesses. The changes follow restaurants and food industry lobbyists spending more than $13 million in lobbying the White House and the Republicans in Congress on food tracking issues and other matters. Two of these lobbying groups pressing for the changes delivered more than $750,000 to congressional candidates and more than $145,000 to the congressional election committees. One of the rules being targeted would institute new record-keeping standards for food companies so federal agencies can more easily identify the origin point of any foodborne illness outbreaks, among other potential safety risks. So basically, hey, we won't know where it comes from. And that's I don't want to be sued. So basically, if we make the path back to my product nearly impossible to track, then I can make an argument. Maybe they got it from the baby formula. Maybe they got it from the Cheetos. Nothing against Cheetos, but you get my point. The funding bill also took rules designed to minimize the risk of serious adverse health consequences or death from consumption of contaminated produce. Yum! That established procedures to provide reasonable assurances that produce is not adulterated. Hello. I saw the lettuce dressing. Anyway, sorry. Chicken man, he's everywhere. Okay. Yeah. So guess what? You're going to get sick thanks to Republicans. Great. Chicago, Seattle, talk to you tomorrow. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2 up next.
Hi, I'm Scott Shamblat from Shamblat Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
If you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shamblat Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shamblat Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblatfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Your Need to Know News headquarters, the Tom Hartman Program, AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. Government workers have been returning to the job today after more than a month away. Offices open again after President Trump signed a spending bill ending the government shutdown. Ed Donahue has more.
In Atlanta,
I worked at this campus for 34 years and went through multiple shutdowns. I know what it's like to miss a paycheck.
Retired worker Steve Monroe was outside CDC headquarters holding a sign that read, "You are heroes."
These people have been maligned in the press, and public health is very important, and the job they're doing is important. And I just want them to know that there are those of us who appreciate what they're doing.
At the White House, economic advisor Kevin Hassett was asked about the shutdown's economic impact.
Our Council of Economic Advisors said that it cost about $15 billion a week.
The bill signed by the president ensures back pay for federal workers and reverses dismissals.
Stocks took a big tumble, led by losses in NVIDIA and other AI stars. The S&P lost 1.7%, while the NASDAQ dropped 2.3%. The Dow fell nearly 800 points. Lawyers for former FBI Director James Comey and New York State Attorney General Letitia James were in court again today. Eric Tucker was there.
Had issued a contention by defense lawyers that Lindsay Halligan, the interim United States attorney who brought the cases against both of these defendants, was appointed illegally. And as a result, the proper remedy is that the case should be dismissed. The Justice Department disagreed and said at most it's a paperwork error and the remedy should not be a dismissal of the indictment. Now, this is part of a multi-pronged challenge by the defendants to get their cases dismissed. They also have contended that the prosecutions were vindictive in nature.
The BBC has apologized to President Trump over what it acknowledges was a misleading edit of his January 6, 2021 speech to supporters before many of them stormed the U.S. Capitol. However, the BBC disputes there's a basis for a defamation lawsuit. This is AP News.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-1897. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-1897. That's 800-575-1897. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real.
Hi, this is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. It's been great working with so many of the passionate AM 950 listeners over the years. We have realized how important AM 950 is to the community. I want to see AM 950 continue to grow and continue to thrive into the future. To help continue to grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to do your part by liking and sharing the content on AM 950 social media platforms.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. Ryan has always told me the best time to get work done is during the colder months of the year because demand is much lower. He is backing that up again by offering 30% off labor on windows and siding from now until the end of December. Call Snap Construction now to get 30% off labor on windows and siding. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Trust the company AM 950 trusts Snap Construction, arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, and window contractor in the metro area. Get a free estimate by calling 612-333-SNAP or find them online at snapconstruction.com. Financing options available.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh, every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies today with a high near 56. Tonight, clear with a low around 37. And Friday, sunny with a high near 65. Experience live music like never before at Crooner's Supper Club. Enjoy top-tier performances in the main stage showroom, Dunsmore Jazz Room, or Under the Stars at the Belvedere. Plus, Maggie's Piano Lounge is always open with no cover charge. Find more details at croonersmn.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here on your Thursday. Nice to have you with us. Matt and Brett here. Guest free, so you're more than welcome to chime in. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Brett, you know that I am technically, I believe, Cat's Eye fan number 1. Do you know who Cat's Eye is? Any idea?
Can't say I do, no. Really?
Good luck, old man. Some of us are hip to youth culture, my friend. So I know about them purely by accident. So I went to the Mall of America. I think they did I don't know if this was their American debut or just their debut period. But they, you know how in that rotunda area that they sometimes have events over there, they did the 3-on-3 basketball tournament over there. I think they've done the WWE has been in there. So they've, they've had a few events there. And I go and it was a cold day. So I decided I'm going to go over and I'll just go see what's going on. I have no intention. I'm like, okay, what is going on here that the parking lots are almost completely full? So I go in there and I realize, wow, I am an old man compared to this crowd. They're all youngins running free. And as we walked around, and I do like a lot of people do, you walk around, you just kind of go around the floors. There's a Gopher sports store. I don't know if actually it's still there. On the first floor, there's a Gopher sports store down by like the Minnesota store. And then I think there's a Swatch store, maybe. I don't know. I think it is. And then you're in the rotunda. I remember it's like, okay, there's like halfway down that one aisle, there's like, standing room only. And there's security frantically trying to keep a lane open so people could walk past. And I'm like, what's going on here? And I lean over, so what's going on? And it's like, Cat's Eye. Okay. Now, as an old man who does not understand things, okay, is this some sort of brain mind control thing? Cat's Eye? Is this the James Bond thing?
I thought it was a movie from the 80s.
Yeah, GoldenEye. GoldenEye was that. Yeah, oh, Sean Bean, no. Anyway. No, it was Cat's Eye. And then of course I saw the banners and the stuff and all the signage. And I'm like, oh, okay. So this is somewhat legit. As I'm walking past, they walked past me. Or you saw them briefly. And I waved. One of them waved at me. I have no idea which one. I was not a fan.
Should have yelled, I'm your biggest fan. I've been following you.
Okay, that's the quickest way to get the restraining order. Old man like you, young girl. Ah! I don't know which one of them. They're coming out and they were waving at. I mean, she could have been, waving off a fly or something. I don't know. They came up and they the place went crazy, dancing, fun. But I guess I'm going to take it as I was the first human being to wave at them. I was the first fan. They are kicking off their world tour. You do need to go. I want you to go during the commercial break. Not now. I mean, we are doing a show here. I mean, it comes some basic standards. But during the commercial break, yeah, okay. Go watch Gnarly. That's a pretty good. These girls are pretty good dancers. As a matter of fact, I would make an argument of all girl bands I've ever seen. I don't think I've ever seen a better set of dancers. They are amazing at their dance routines. I mean, they are really honed and polished. Their songs are catchy. I like them. I mean, and I've started following because I'm like, okay, what am I into now?
You said the cat's eye, right?
Not the cat's eye.
Or cat's eye.
You know, like my dad when the 1980s.
Well, here's what I typed that in, and I got a Drew Barrymore movie from 1985.
No,
Cat's.
okay, all capital letter, not cat with a K. With a
Oh,
K.
okay, there, yeah.
So
Shows our age now.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're like my dad when he went to music Tower Music or something like that back in the 1980s to go buy an album for my sister, and she says, "I need the Policeman." You know, I'm like, okay, you know, the cat's eye. No, it's just cat's eye with a K. All one word, capitalize it, you'll find it. Have fun. You at least do the show. Wait a second here. Let's go back to the basic standards of the radio business, okay? Did you find it there? Gnarly?
Oh, here we go.
There
Yeah.
you go,
I
right.
found the band now. The correctly spelled band. Yeah.
Okay. They are kicking off their world tour at the Armory on Saturday. They're sold out at the Armory there. And by the way, if you've not been to a show at the Armory is a cool place to go watch a show. Grammy-nominated K-pop style ensemble, one of the most popular girl groups worldwide. Their tracks, which rack up hundreds of millions of streams on Spotify, dance clips are on TikTok and other social platforms. They are really good. Tickets on the secondary market start around $300 as a midday Thursday. The 6-member group was created in 23 reality TV competition called the Debut Dream Academy. It has backing of Geffen Records and the South Korean entertainment company that manages K-pop sensation BTS. The group gained even more fame in the 2024 Netflix docuseries that chronicled the creation of the group. The group's 6 members who hail from across the world: Daniela, Lara, Manon, Megan, Sophia, and Yunche. I believe Sophia is the one I saw. I think it was. Okay. Gnarly Touch, Gabriella. There you go. There's some songs for you to go find. You're a fan, you can make the show. K-pop Nara is hosting a pop-up event with merchant giveaways at the Mall America Friday and Saturday. The pop-up store they had there, I was there this last weekend. The pop-up store, the K-pop pop-up store they had over there already had a line down the thing. Now they're going to put cat's eye. My God, that's just going to be my Labubu. I need a cat's eye Labubu. That's what I need. I have no idea what I'm saying. These are words, they're vowels and consonants. I have no what they don't mean, but I need a cat's eye Labubu. Do you see them now? I mean, are you watching the video while we do the show?
I haven't watched the video yet. I've just been getting more information. Yeah, they won a reality conference or competition. Yeah, relatively new, 2020.
They look like fairly attractive young women. There you are. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Brett, giving us. This is why you do the sports stuff and I do the entertainment stuff. It's good. No, they're pretty solid, man. I'm Sophia's favorite. She waved to me first. No, I'm not going to Cat's Eye this weekend because is there anything more creepy than a 57-year-old dude in a show where the next oldest person is 20? Hi there. I'm a big fan. No, they won't. I won't be going. I will not be looking for that. Were you a fan of they used to have a Krispy Kreme near here in the station? Near the station,
definitely. Yeah. Big fan of Krispy Kremes back then. Yeah.
Have you made the jaunt up to Fridley for the new one they have up there?
Is that open now? I saw that was supposed to open. Oh, that has my attention.
Yeah. Yesterday, people went up there as they returned to the Twin Cities. By 7 a.m., traffic on nearby roads was backed up, and the line for the chain signature warm glazed treat was around the block. Krispy Kreme hasn't had a Minnesota location since 2008. Do you know why they screwed up in their marketing plan? I don't know if you ever heard about this or read about this.
They screwed something up. I always remember those things having lines that were completely full and.
Well, what they did is they built them in. They specifically put them in higher end neighborhoods. This is not now. This is but back when they originally launched here, because the marketing had told them that poorer people will drive for donuts, but wealthy people won't. And so they created the situation where they're in wealthier communities. And initially, when they had their initial, run, people were like, oh, these are the greatest things because, you had a lot of, they gave away a ton of free donuts and stuff like this. But as that wore off, all of a sudden, people of lower income, they're not going to drive 10 miles to go get some donuts. They can just go to, a lot of different places in between their house and there. So, and then of course, the people that lived in the wealthier communities, generally don't like eating a lot of junk food too much. And so it was kind of a perfect storm. They created a situation where they themselves, their marketing strategy ended up torpedoing them. I read about it a long time ago. It was actually quite fascinating and a lot of lessons learned. So they got the new location in Fridley. And I don't know. I mean, my guess is ownership has changed over at some point with Krispy Kreme in that time frame. And that was 2008.
Yeah, I know they're still around in Iowa and Nebraska because we used to be able to get those down there when I worked.
They made between 3,000 and 4,000 dozen donuts on opening day alone. The Kaplan family, who were the first in line, told Axios they arrived around noon on Tuesday, camped overnight to get their spot. Okay,
I like Krispy Kremes, not that much, though. I'm going to camp overnight.
Anyone that's criticizing me for my cat's eye love, shame on you. Okay, shame on you. Krispy Kreme's Maple Grove location set a company record when it opened in 2002, raking in $480,000 in just the first week. That location shut down in 2008. You see, that's the thing, which is as hot as they were, they burned out really fast. And there are some interesting stories from that, from like the fast food industry.
I was going to say 2008 is when they went out.
2002 is when they opened. They shut down in 2008 at that location.
Yeah, and of course we had a big economic situation in 2008. That probably didn't help either.
No, it did not. Well, and the writing was on the wall in 2006, really, if you paid attention. But yeah, no, that was they had it for a little bit. They dominated. Now there are some very fascinating stories from the fast food restaurant world. I mean, just read about Hardee's and how they almost got wiped out by the chicken. Remember when they introduced fried chicken with Karl Malone? I think it was Karl Malone was the thing. Oh God, they almost wiped themselves out. Yeah, and so you sometimes it's interesting to see sometimes little decisions can be a big thing, and their whole plan basically was destined to fail. And considering how much money they were making initially in those initial stores, the fact that they were shutting down so quickly. Yeah, it tells you there's a flaw in the system. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Let's take a break. Come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Thursday.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. November is here, so you're probably thinking two things right now. First is, man, where did this year go? And second is, oh no, I'm hosting Thanksgiving and my house is not ready at all. So you need to call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res to get things in order before your friends and family come over to celebrate. Every surface in your home can be Zero Resified, from hardwood, carpet, tile, rugs, upholstery, and more, so you don't have to worry about your friends and family plopping down on a nasty couch. Zero Res has a 4.9 rating on Google with over 21,000 reviews, so go ahead and get clean. And don't miss this month's deal. Get 3 rooms of carpet starting at just $139 and $50 off an air duct cleaning. You just need to call 952-0-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res. History Theater celebrates the fascinating history of the St. Paul Winter Carnival with the world premiere of Rollicking, a winter carnival musical, November 22nd through December 21st in St. Paul. Discover the strange, wonderful heart of a tradition built on resilience, imagination, and the enduring spirit of our snowy state. Discounts are available for students, seniors, and groups. Don't miss this vibrant premiere. Find details now at historytheater.com. That's historytheater.com.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts. So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
It's no secret that medical care costs are soaring, with nursing home and skilled nursing care costs being some of the highest. You don't have to deplete your savings in order to receive long-term care. At Schroman Law, we work with families to develop and implement strategic planning for medical assistance for long-term care, for assisted living, nursing home care, or home-based care. Contact us today to schedule a free consultation at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
The independently owned Next Chapter Booksellers is the perfect destination for your next book. The friendly staff at Next Chapter Booksellers are great at making recommendations no matter your age or taste. Plus, they have frequent events including book readings and meet and greets with authors. And they sell more than just books. They have a wide variety of puzzles and games, too. So stop in and browse the store off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. So you've viewed some of the Cat's Eye video for Gnarly there, which we can't play because it's got some naughty words in it. But they are amazing dancers.
So we're not going to see that on Friday of you trying the dance moves on the camera at the end of the show.
I mean, for a man that's got rods and screws in his back, sure, it'd be an adventure. That'd probably, unless we want to medevac me out of this place, I don't think we should do that, but they are pretty good.
Yeah, I will admit, very talented dancers. Yeah, as we were talking about during the break, it takes a little rehearsal. You're not just picking this up once and saying, go out and do it now.
They are. Yeah, it's and plus the fact they rhymed with Takis, the delicious snack chip. There you go. Nothing wrong with that. 952-946-6205. I want to actually read what I think is a pretty spectacular. We have to talk about rural America. I do criticize rural America because, as I've said, rural America, not because it's a bad place, not at all. As a matter of fact, I've lived in rural America. I've lived in rural America multiple times, and my family I would consider from the Iron Range. I've got rural America in my bloodline. I like rural America, and the times I've lived there, I learned the value and the niceties that can accompany living in small town America. There are some definitive things which are just wonderful, are really, really nice. The problem, I think, for a lot of people like myself, is this whole try that in a small town, which is basically just a racist mantra because people try stuff all the time in your small town, but you guys don't ever get mad about that because that's white people. And so this is just basically you saying to the minorities in a metro area, try that in a small town. Like, we're sitting out on the city property lines with their guns, checking, skin color as you come into town. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of the resentment you have. Now, I understand why you have resentment. The resentment comes from the kids of these communities leaving at age 18 and not coming back. And that's where you've got this problem. You have this fairly massive age gap there. The population of rural America is 18 and younger, and then, 45 and older for the most part. But that's happening not because of metro areas and Democrats. No one's coming through and they paved over Jenkins Farm and turned it into a parking lot. No, we didn't do that. It's because you guys keep voting for Republicans, and Republicans' corporate ag heavy policies have wiped out your communities. And so there is no one making jobs in your towns. And the farming is not really conducive anymore because unless you're a major agribusiness, you can't make money. And they've run all your businesses out. That's not on us. That's on the Republicans. But you don't want to, sometimes the hardest thing in the world is to look in the mirror and say that the Republican Party has failed you dramatically. And so you say, it's those metro people, they take our children and they brainwash them. And then they don't come back. I don't have much patience for that. Nor do I have much patience for your belligerent Trump support. And the sense being is that, every one of you that are sitting there is like, well, these tariffs are hurting. Are they? Oh, really? Who could have, I don't know, spent an entire year telling you that? Oh, that's right, me. I did. I told you that. Because he did it to you once before, and now he's doing it a lot worse. And I should remind you, remember that a few weeks back when he said China's going to take all the soybeans? They haven't made an order yet. I don't think they have, at least. They're not exactly buying tons of product at this point. And once again, as Trump and Bessent came out there and said, oh, yeah, this is going to work, China's like, we're in the process of negotiating that. We'll get to it. They've already come back and said since then the precious minerals, the rare earth minerals are not going to give to the U.S. military. So, yeah, I like rural America, and I want to help you because I think a thriving rural America is the fastest way to a thriving country as a whole. And that's just a realism of the problem. I mean, you guys like to sit there and say, you metro people are taking all my county's tax dollars. No, we're not. It's actually going the other way around. Metro areas are subsidizing your counties because you keep voting for Republicans and they keep screwing you over. It's Michael Chamades. I'm going to go with Chamades. Chameides. Chamades. I'm going to go with that. His is an article in the Reformer. Here's an agenda for rural Minnesota. Let me read this for you. The U.S. House took off all of October. In fact, the GOP-led chamber only worked 14 days since July 25th as Congress sat idle. Hardworking Americans faced rising health care costs. Farmers battled dangerous market instability, and millions worried over losing necessary food assistance. It's time for Congress to show up for the people it serves, to lower costs, raise wages, and protect the freedom to make choices about their own lives. As the Communications and Policy Director for the Rural Democracy Initiative, I worked with 40 local, state, and national organizations, including the Minnesota-based Land Stewardship Project and CURE, to create the Rural Policy Action Report, which offers a roadmap of popular policies lawmakers could implement today. Here are the 5 priorities to help families, small businesses, and rural communities thrive. Now, I'm going to read these to you, and I want to make sure every Democrat hears this. You need to be, don't sit there and say, I'm really a Republican. I mean, that's not going to win you that election. Why go with the light version of something as opposed to going and get the regular version? You hammer home these 5 policy initiatives, and you'll start winning in rural Minnesota. All right? Here's in Wisconsin, for that matter. Number 1, fix healthcare. As we've talked about, and I'm going to get into this more coming up here in just a little bit, because there is some really disturbing numbers that are coming on out here that as Republicans act like they've helped everyone with Medicaid, they have absolutely annihilated Medicaid. And I'll get to that here. I'll just run the numbers for you. Lawmakers should reverse the Medicaid cuts and renew Affordable Care Act tax credits that they allowed to expire to pass tax breaks for billionaires. More than undoing the damage Congress did this year, we need them to go further, lower prescription prices, support rural hospitals, and ensure reliable care close to home. Access to life-saving services shouldn't depend on your zip code or your income. Absolutely. And we have already seen, since these Republicans did the damage to the healthcare system, hospital after hospital after hospital cut services or outright even shut down in rural America. And when you're getting to the point where the nearest delivery center for your child is 45 minutes away, that's a problem. That's not making life in rural America better. And this is the healthcare one is the largest issue that the Republicans want to avoid most of all, because they cannot argue that they didn't do this. And so, yeah, fight the Republican healthcare policy. And that's how I'd phrase it too, is I'm going to reopen this hospital, try to get this hospital reopened because I'm fighting the Republican healthcare policy that shut it down. That's how you do it. 2, stand with farmers, not just corporations. Abso-freaking-lutely. God, do the Republicans, they say, we gave all this money to the ag sector. Yeah, 95% of it went to 10 wealthy families, and everyone else got scraps. I mean, you've turned the standard farm into a factory setting where the people who own the farm and live on the farm have to punch a clock for corporate ag so that they can do their business. Our farmers' rising healthcare costs are just part of the growing challenges. Our members are feeling the pain of a chaotic trade policy, massive cuts to the USDA programs that serve the farmers in rural communities, and the ever-growing threat from monopolies that manipulate the agricultural marketplace, said Aaron Lehman of the Iowa Farmers Union. With the Farm Bill years past due, it seems Congress only makes time to fund programs for the biggest agribusinesses. Congress could help develop local markets by investing in local food systems, reinstating the local food purchase assistance program that helps schools buy fresh food from local farms, and helping farmers protect soil and water. My God, I mean, these are programs that worked. These are programs that worked. The problem is most Republicans don't even realize that was where a lot of their local farmers were selling their product. Farmers watched as new tariffs hurt the U.S. soybean market and boosted sales for Argentina. On top of that, the Trump administration promised Argentina an additional $20 billion bailout gift. It's actually $40. Congress must rein in our trade policy and prioritize independent producers, small-town businesses, and workers. 3, strengthen public schools. God, the public education system in rural America. This is one of those issues. I know rural people, they don't like to have issues that are the same as inner city, but the inner city schools and the rural schools are both in big trouble. The only school districts that are doing really well are the wealthy suburban schools. All the rest of them are really having a hard time. Rural schools are the heart of their communities, preparing students with the skills to compete, but the federal government diverted billions from public schools to private schools with tax vouchers that could cost taxpayers up to $51 billion a year, more than the federal government spends on all public K-12 education. And most of the people that get those vouchers never went to public school a day of their life. They were all, we are using taxpayer dollars to subsidize the wealthiest people sending their kids to private school. That's all we're doing. That's the great ugly secret of conservative policy. It's sure they'll find the one minority child. They'll say, this child got a chance, but they want you to ignore the 99% of the rest of them that are all silver spooned billionaire kids getting their heavy duty private school tuition covered by the taxpayer. Lawmakers should stop the voucher programs and instead ensure students have properly funded schools with speech and reading services and support for kids with disabilities. Heaven forbid. Empower workers. Rural workers often earn less, have fewer benefits, face higher injury rates. When workers are respected and fairly paid, they spend locally, keep main streets alive. But the Trump administration has tried to eliminate dozens of worker safety rules, rescind the important overtime rule, and ordered immigration raids to work sites across the country. Congress should protect the right to organize, ensure safe work sites, and guaranteed paid family and medical leave. The reason why most rural communities don't even have a main street anymore, that's all a bunch of empty businesses, is because there are no jobs. No one's buying because no one's hiring. And that becomes a vicious circle because then the businesses that are open close because more people are there, and then less jobs are out there, and there you go. And like I said, I've gone out into rural Minnesota a bunch of times. I can't tell you how many towns I'll go into, and there's one gas station and a co-op, and that's it. Those are the two businesses in town. And there's a 40-person waiting list to get the third shift at the gas station. Ugh. Make essentials affordable. Everyone should be able to afford groceries, medicine, and energy bills, but prices keep climbing. Congress must work to lower prices to enable small businesses to be competitive so people have real choices. They should, but right now Congress is basically saying Donald Trump can raise the tariffs on everything and everything's going to be much more expensive. Congress should also restore food assistance, cut costs for childcare, housing, and energy, and expand broadband access. Well, they're not going to do that because there are a few billionaires that are basically taking all of our taxpayer dollars. Congress needs to work for us, not for the special interests of big corporations and the ultra wealthy. Rural communities have been overlooked, are actively harmed by federal policy, by Republican policy. The Rural Policy Action Report shows a better path, a practical plan for with example legislation to help improve health care, support farmers, strengthen public schools, stand with workers, and lower costs. It's a good thing, man. I'm not all these things. If you are a DFLer in rural Minnesota, there's your game plan. That is your platform right there. Because it's relatable. Rural America, I want you to succeed. First of all, stop with this try that in a small town crap. No. I mean, not only is that ludicrous. I mean, what just happened in Cokato, for God's sakes? Mankato, they just had a guy with a dead guy in the car. What was up with that? Duluth, they had the thing. Not Duluth is a larger city, but you get the point. Enough with that. Enough with voting against your own interests, okay? Enough with that. And enough with getting mad at metro areas because all the kids graduate and they leave town and they don't come back. That's not on us. You need to be looking at the Republicans who have put the policies in place that make it impossible for small town kids to come back home and work and find good work there. I've talked about that multiple times. I don't want you guys to suffer. I want you guys to have a good quality of life. And to a point, sometimes I'm envious of small town life. But the first thing you have to admit is voting for Republicans is absolutely effing you guys over. And until you stop, well, this is only going to get worse. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Take a break, come back. It is the Matt McNeil Show.
On Saturday, November 15th, One Voice Mixed Chorus presents the concert Protest Lines, a concert and community sing at the O'Shaughnessy Auditorium. Hear the chorus perform powerful music of protest and then join them as they teach you songs to take to the streets. This is a true community sing-in for the times we are enduring. Go to onevoicemn.org to buy tickets, onevoicemn.org.
Celebrate the Thanksgiving season at Ferndale Market's annual Turkey Fest, happening at their on-farm store in Cannon Falls from November 21st through the 26th. It's a beautiful drive from the Twin Cities. Reserve your fresh, never frozen Thanksgiving turkey for pickup at Turkey Fest. While you're there, enjoy delicious food samples and grab lunch from a food truck. Enjoy their family-run farm. Again, that's Turkey Fest, November 21st through the 26th at Ferndale Market in Cannon Falls. If you can't make it to Cannon Falls, don't worry. Use Ferndale Market's online locator to find out where you can get your 100% natural and delicious Ferndale turkey. Ferndale Market is a third-generation family farm that raises free-range, antibiotic-free turkeys. Their fresh Thanksgiving turkeys cook faster than frozen ones, giving you more time to enjoy the holiday with loved ones. Visit ferndalemarket.com for more details and to reserve your fresh turkey today. Make this Thanksgiving unforgettable with a farm fresh turkey from Ferndale Market.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are business values to you? When you need high quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota, providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
Coming up on the next episode of The Gailey Show, Carlisle Evans Peck is back with a new album, The Lines in My Hands, and they're bringing a track from the album for us to listen to. Plus, Paul Collette's new novel, George Falls Through Time, has been called breathtaking and brilliant. Paul joins us from London to discuss. So join me, John Parker, Friday at 2 p.m. on AM 950 Radio, the progressive voice of Minnesota, or stream us on our YouTube channel. We have hours of progressive news and talk for you to listen to. Just search for The Gailey Show on YouTube.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies today with a high near 56, tonight clear with a low around 37, and Friday sunny with a high near 65. Time is running out. Only 2 weeks remain to see the enormous crocodile at Children's Theater Company. From the jungle to outer space, this Roald Dahl-inspired musical is packed with laughter, clever tricks, and dazzling puppetry. Catch it all before it's gone through November 23rd. Tickets at childrenstheater.org. That's childrenstheater.org.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Okay, I have to admit, it is a little... Okay, I love Minneapolis, St. Paul. This is home for me. I love it here. But we, of course, we've been doing the show out in Chicago now for, 3 years? Chicago's been carrying us out there at WCPT, and I hear a lot out there. I hear a lot from the White Sox. They're not too happy with me. I love the Cubbies, but as a Twins fan, man, no, hey.
You need to show some mercy on White Sox fans, though. They've had a rough the past few years.
They have.
Although we might be trying to surpass them.
We're definitely, it's a race to the bottom now in the AL Central. Seattle. Apparently we are on in the afternoon drive in Seattle, which, yeah, man, I'm cool with that. Dude, I mean, I do have to get on out there. I get out to the coasts, and the first thing I do is I go get like a big bowl of clams or something like this because I love good seafood. And Ivar's down there on the I mean, it's a touristy place, but God, is it good. I enjoyed that quite a bit. But I've had just amazing. Okay, this is me. I've had amazing food in the Seattle metro area. Everywhere I've gone, I've been like, wow, this is great. And a shout out to Olympia. The best Mexican restaurant I think I ever went to in my entire life is in Olympia, Washington. Just out there. We were driving up from Portland up to Seattle and stopped. And oh my God, was that amazing. Oh, so we might have to take the show on the road, man. Hey, if you're in a market, you know, I'd love to be in San Francisco. I'd love to be in Boston. I'd love to be in Boston, man.
Well, here's how we incorporate Broadcorp into this. Maybe, you know, the Vikings play in Seattle in a few weeks. So somehow we get connected to cover the game in Seattle.
Maybe. Although we could be in trouble. Broadcorp will be a very unapologetic Vikings fan. And I'm going to be like the guy, like, okay, don't want to get my ass kicked. Don't want to get my ass kicked.
You're not going to Philly for this game, right?
Trust me, I think that enough people in Seattle will. Yeah, it's like, hey, let's get him. Yeah, he'll be like Chevy Chase and spies like us. Maybe we have to go on the road. Hey, if you are in a market that we're not in, we've got an hour of radio that will surely make a lot of people in your community mad. So, demand your local station carry this show. Demand it. I'm sure that will go over well. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. So I want to bring up something. So when the big beautiful bill, which once again is so funny, when was the last time any Republican championed the big beautiful bill? They can't. That is like, I don't think we should call it that. I mean, it's because the big beautiful bill was immediately so unpopular that within 2 weeks, not a single Republican, they've all pulled it off their web pages and everything. They don't want anyone knowing they passed that bill. But they did this, and as the Rural Farm Story talked about, they cut healthcare funding dramatically so that they could give billionaires tax breaks. Now, the billionaires are not about to turn around and give us all a bunch of health care. That's not going to happen. But we're all screwed. I think that's the term. But you see, as Republicans were incensed about that. I'll get to that in a second. There's a story in the Reformer today that has a stat in here that just will show you how screwed we are in regards to what the Republicans did to Medicaid. In their competition for the rural health care dollars for the new federal fund, states are seeking money to bolster emergency services, address chronic diseases, and recruit and train more doctors and nurses. All 50 states submitted their applications to the federal government last week to get shares of the $50 billion Rural Health Transformation Program. Now, this was a deal that they made, was it with the Murkowski in Alaska, that she would allow these cuts, but the federal government had to make a one-time $50 billion slush fund available for the states for them to apply for the money. And it is a lot of money, but the first thing I said is, well, compared to how much money they're trimming from Medicaid, Medicare, that's nothing. But every Republican, Pete Stauber, Opie down in one, Emmer, all of them came on out there and said, this is going to save healthcare $50 billion. And you see, there was a trick. And this is something I noticed because I am on the air in Chicago and I am on the air in Seattle. It was a trick because the Washington Republicans and the Illinois Republicans were saying the same thing with a very implied tone that $50 billion was just for their state. That was, we're getting $50 billion. That's a massive increase in funding. Now, if every state got $50 billion, that would actually be a really good thing for healthcare. Might actually be able to get mental health care across the board. But it's not. But they all knew it. But they all then tried to portray it as, well, Minnesota's getting $50 billion. And that was never the plan. That's $50 billion for each state. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that basically that's per 50 states, $100 million each. But some states are larger than others, and so it's going to be weighted. So how much each state gets remains to be seen. Congress created the program in response to concerns about rural health care providers, as well as lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, about the effects of Medicare cuts in the One Big Beautiful Bill that Trump passed this summer. A state line analysis of 10 states' proposals to the Rural Health Transformation Program found common focus areas, including expanding mobile health care access and bolstering emergency medical services. States also focused on chronic disease prevention programs, technological advancements, and rural clinician recruitment. State line examined proposals from states that had large rural populations or had released their proposals. Missouri, North Carolina, Oklahoma are among a dozen states that have expanded Medicaid and would be the hardest hit by rural Medicaid cuts. Each state, and I want to make sure you listen to this, each of those three states, Missouri, North Carolina, and Oklahoma, will see at least a $4.5 billion in reduction because of these cuts. $4.5 billion in reductions. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to say, okay, if those three states each lose $4.5 billion, well, that's $13.5 billion for those three states alone. Which means, what about the other 37.5? That's not going to cover the other 47 states that are there. You start to realize the numbers game that the Republicans were saying is an absolute lie. That $50 billion is not going to cover the cuts they made. As a matter of fact, that is basically trying to put up a Band-Aid to stop a semi-truck. Rural healthcare leaders told State Line that states had to rush to develop the pitches after the official funding notice was announced by the Federal Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services. States that had about 7 weeks to put together their applications, they basically frantically just try to put it together and get something out in front of them. Remember I said Band-Aid? The new law cuts $911 billion from Medicaid over the next decade, billion, with rural communities. So they cut $911 billion, but they gave you $50 billion. Okay, you can kind of start to see what the problem is. Rural communities alone are going to lose $137 billion. Once again, that is a lot more than $50 billion. And that's rural communities alone. The new rural health care program could offset just only a third, at best, only a third of the losses that are coming your way. That's your at best ratio with KFF estimates. Guy from the HCC network, which runs 6 Missouri rural community health centers, it's going to be a Band-Aid. How do we make sure that it's just not one-time Band-Aid? That's maybe a waterproof Band-Aid. Because once again, that $50 billion is a one-time payment. They basically starve everyone, then go get some diseased meat, cut it up and throw it to the masses, and whoever eats. I want to remind you of what Republicans said. All 4 Republican congresspeople, after they passed this bill, were doing their best to vilify those evil Democrats. Yet the Democrats, fueled by their hatred for President Trump, have been fear-mongering campaign about the contents of our bill, particularly when it comes to Medicaid. And then they come in here and say, implementing a $50 billion rural health transformation program to support Minnesota rural hospitals. Okay, so once again, the implication is that this is going to help only Minnesota hospitals, and it wasn't. It's for all 50 states. It's a one-time bill. And once again, you cut rural health care alone by $137 billion. $137 billion. $50 billion ain't going to fix these problems. This was a Star Tribune story. The bill includes a $50 billion rural hospital stabilization fund as a buffer against looming cuts. Representative Stauber, who represents northern Minnesota, said the fund is the main reason he voted for the bill. This means that each state, including Minnesota, will receive at least $100 million every year to help keep rural hospitals open, support providers, and ensure that it's a one-time deal, man. That's a one-time deal. That has not been approved for all their years. While many on the left falsely claim this bill threatens rural health care, make no mistake, it does the opposite. The Minnesota Office of Management and Budget estimates the proposed cuts for Medicaid could cost more than $1 billion a year. The Minnesota Office of Management and Budget estimates the proposed cuts to Medicaid would cost the state more than $1 billion a year. He's talking about how we're going to get $100 million. We're already 90. That's 1/10 of the losses we're going to take in the state. KFF estimates that the One Big Beautiful Bill is expected to cost the state up to $2.4 billion. $2.4 billion per year over the next decade, leaving a big hole for our state legislators to fill, although some of those harms will be caused by Congress's imposition to work requirement paperwork burdens on Medicaid beneficiaries that the state cannot do much about, most of them coming from the funding cuts. So basically, Minnesota just needs to come up with roughly $2.4 billion on its own to cover these losses. And you see, this is the problem. These guys act like we didn't cut anything. It's now up to the state and the counties to provide the money when this is an unforced mandate on them. And so they're skyrocketing up their taxes to basically have to cover these costs while the Republicans act like they did something good. And it should be noted that, once again, Republicans all claimed no one's health care is going up. And I want to go back to the first thing I pointed out today on the show when I was talking about that one congressman down in Texas, where they're already getting their affordable health care premiums at $300, $400. One case was $1,500 more expensive per month. The Republicans all lied to you, and it's just that simple. They all lied to you, and you need to keep that in perspective. Hold on, Greg. I'll get your phone call here in a second. 952-946-6205. Let's get the last break in. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on the Thursday.
So an atheist, a Christian, and a Buddhist walk into a church. There's no punchline. That's just what happens every Sunday at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis. Join us for Sundays Reimagined or live stream at firstunitarian.org. Looking for community without doctrine? Questions without judgment? Think outside the pew. Join us for Sundays Reimagined at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis or live stream at firstunitarian.org.
The Thanksgiving Buffet is back at the Park Tavern. Thanksgiving Thursday, November 27th from 11 to 3, the Park Tavern has its Thanksgiving Day Buffet. Enjoy the all-you-can-eat buffet with all your Thanksgiving favorites for $25.95 per person, $18.95 for 65 and over, and kids 6 to 12, and kids 5 and under are free, and that includes an hour of free bowling. Seatings begin at 11 a.m., and the last seatings are at 2 p.m., and you need reservations. Call 952-929-6810. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, giving thanks this Thanksgiving is simple with help from the Park Tavern.
Hey, this is John Parker at Rainbow Road in Minneapolis. The holidays are coming up, and you can buy a limited selection of official Tom of Finland swimwear, tanks, and underwear for that special someone or for yourself. But don't wait on this. When they're gone, they're gone. And while you're there, update your gym look from a wide selection of tanks, t-shirts, and shorts. Rainbow Road is open 7 days a week on Grand Street by Loring Park and all the time at rainbowrd.com. Remember to get it at the road.
In these chaotic times, we need a new word for the fourth quarter. Times are just too dark for a Black Friday. As the uber rich tear down the foundations of American democracy and the forces of big government, big business, big tech, big military industrial complex, and AI all unite to dominate even more, it's time for us to declare a Soliday. Solidarity and holiday. Let's experience Soliday. When you buy Nicolette's Macaroons, Ferndale Turkey, tickets from an AM 950 theater or restaurant partner, take a ride on the Minneapolis Trolley, visit Hypercharge clinics, buy from Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, shop at Shanghai Market, or patronize any of our great advertisers, you're doing more than being a consumer. You're part of the Soliday movement. List Soliday. If you have thoughts on potential partners or your business organization would like to connect, reach out to me, Laura at am950radio.com. That's Laura at am950radio.com. Happy Soliday. United we stand. Solidarity forever.
Hey, it's Alex with Buzzcut Mowing. Why spend your precious time out in the cold this fall raking, bagging, and stressing over leaves when I can handle it all for you? I provide fast, thorough, and reliable fall leaf cleanups across the West Metro. Let me do the hard work so you can stay cozy, sip your coffee, and actually enjoy the season. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com today, and let's make your yard the envy of the neighborhood before the winter hits. Buzzcut Mowing.
How sweet it is to be loved by you. Smooth as James Taylor's voice, man. Dear Lord. Love him. It is the Matt McNeil Show. By the way, just FYI, I am the pre-show for the actual main attraction, which is Robert Pilot and crew. Native Roots Radio, I'm Awake, that comes in after me here tonight. They've got a heck of a show. One of my favorite DFL politicians, Heather Keeler, is going to be joining them. She's got a huge announcement she's going to be making, and she has my 1,000% support on that one. Guadalupe Lopez is director of the MMIR office, and an update from the Minneapolis Indian Center. That's coming up here in the next hour. Stay with us for that. And then, of course, through the evening, great programming. My bestie from Chicago, we've got, of course, that's Patty Vasquez. That's the 9 o'clock hour tonight. And then, of course, Ghostbox Radio, Greg Bakken in-house with, he's going to be scaring us with something. He's going to scare, or psychics, or UFOs, or Bigfoot. More Bigfoot coverage. I mean, come on, man. More Bigfoot coverage. Well, I mean, like I said, maybe they'll go to the Krispy Kreme. I mean, everyone's going there. I mean, I'm going to guess you're going to have a decent shot of seeing a Bigfoot. I'd be for those.
If I were Bigfoot, I'd go to Krispy Kreme. There
you go. Why go out in the middle of the woods? Just go to a Krispy Kreme, man. Wait there. It's like, hey, no Bigfoot here. Ghostbox Radio. Make sure you're listening. Greg is much better at this stuff than I am. That's 10 o'clock tonight right here on AM 950. Greg in Minnetonka wanted to chime in really quick.
Actually, we just lost Greg, unfortunately.
We lost Greg. All right. Sorry, Greg. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. This is a problem. Republicans have dramatically hurt rural America. Not just in healthcare, not just in education, not just in farming opportunities and productive ag markets. They have destroyed the quality of life of rural America. They have definitively, as you've heard, wiped out rural healthcare. And as they keep saying, we've made it stronger, I want to remind you, just since they passed this big, beautiful bill, we've had at least 15 medical centers in the state either cut programs or close completely. That's not making healthcare better. And then they throw out this pittance to the American people and act as if this is somehow going to offset the 3 times just on rural healthcare alone. Just on rural healthcare alone, the amount of cuts they've made are 3 times more than the entire budget is. Healthcare overall, it's $911 billion versus $50 billion. It's not even close. And on top of that, property owners across Minnesota could be asked to come up with nearly $1 billion more for city, county, and other local government operations, according to data from the Department of Revenue. The first statewide look at the preliminary levies show that the maximum that taxes can rise and the amounts of 6.9% for more total in 2026. The data shows the tax amount of $948 million above what property owners paid this year because of federal budget cuts, in part because of federal budget cuts. Growing cost of labor, benefits, and goods, along with expenses tied to requirements passed down by federal government. And if they're not paying for it, once again, if these are mandates that have to get paid, and the federal government says, we're just not going to, I mean, that's a very Tim Pawlenty thing to do, by the way. I don't know if you remember that. That was what he did. He basically just said, I'm not going to send you the money. You still got to pay for everything, but then blamed counties and cities for having to raise price and taxes because, oh, well, they could have just cut that. No, they couldn't. They couldn't just cut the fire department or the police department. They had to still fund those things, and you basically forced their hand. Now, Republicans have been a nightmare for you. 4 bags of groceries, $200. Thanks, Donald Trump. That's Trump's America. 4 bags of groceries, $200. Dear Lord. Dear Lord. Vote Democrat if you want to survive. I think that's where we are. That's my t-shirt. Native Roots Radio up next. We'll be back tomorrow. Till then, see ya.
In today's uncertain times, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces believes that a fire can add comfort and security to your life. At Woodland, our mission is to connect you to a place for fire that